Extreme mock scrapes. That's this episode of Death by Bunjie.
Death by Bunjie.
Okay, maybe they're not extreme mock scrapes. Maybe there's nothing extreme about it, but it still is a lot of fun to put in a mock scrape. This is the most extreme I've ever gone when it comes to putting in a mock scrape. And what I mean by that is I've got a tree trunk here, a little branch or the part of the trunk out of a tree, a little maple that I cut that was right in the little grove of trees behind me over the winter. I cut that down, let the deer eat all the branches and the browse off of it. And then I kept the log, kept the trunk out of it, with the intent of using it for this particular project. What I did, brought my little New Holland tractor down here with a post hole digger on the back, drilled a hole in the ground, mounted this post in it, the trunk in it, so it's standing up. And then what I took when I was pruning our oak tree up there in the, got a pin oak tree up in the lawn, I had to cut a bunch of branches off that this year. I kept those branches handy, brought them down here, used a flat wood bit to drill holes in this particular trunk, and then just stuck these branches in it using some sheetrock screws with a drill. I'm holding them in place, and that's real neat because then I can come back later on. I can remove those sheetrock screws real easy, take the branches out when all these leaves fall out, when the branches die, and I can replace them with new branches. That'll be awesome because it'll keep this particular scrape going for a long time, this particular location at least. To do this, what I use, I've used Grave Digger, Code Blue's Grave Digger. It's a little scrape in a box basically. And this year I'm using from Apparition Scents. It's their Nightmare Pre-Orbital. That's the scent that you're going to get up here on those branches. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to spray some of this. I'm just going to take this little bottle here, open it up. I got this right on eBay, and I'm going to drip that around here good on these branches. Put a little bit on there, good. I'll go around and get them good. Make sure that's on there good. To get them working those branches. And then what I'm going to do is try not to get that all over me, close it good. I've done this before. If you saw my other videos last year, I tried this down and it turned out to be what I did a video on. I ended up calling it the worst tree stand ever because it just didn't pan out for me. That had more to do with the location of the stand than anything else. You open up that Code Blue, what you got is a little vacuum sealed package full of dirt and deer smells and stuff like that. Pick a branch that's the right height. You don't want one that's too low, you don't want one that's too high. I'm just going to pick this guy here. Just use your rake or use your hoe to open up the grass a little bit, get some of that moved out of the way so it looks like a scrape has begun. I put this in a month ago. The deer have not done anything with it yet. Sometimes they'll work it on their own without you doing something, but they haven't in this case. What you kind of want to do with this stuff is dig a little bit of a hole so that some of that stuff gets in the dirt good. So I'll dig a little bit of a hole, get out my bag, and you don't want to touch the actual contents if you can avoid it. So I'm going to throw that here. I just put the bag there, take the end of the hoe and cut it good with the hoe, and then I'll dump the contents out good in that hole, most of them. Leave a little bit in the bag, and then I'm just going to cover it over so that the hole that I made is now covered over good, and chop up the dirt a little bit. Use the hoe to pack it down good, and then I'll just take the rest of that stuff without touching the contents. You just want to touch the bag is all. We'll take that and we're going to spread that around right on top, get those deer starting in this location, and hopefully that'll get them going. One of the reasons that I picked this location is because it's right here on the edge of my turnips food plot. Late in the crossbow season and then on into the second crossbow season, what I call the second crossbow season, which is the rifle season, and then later on here in Pennsylvania into the late season, this plot will become more active, I think, because it's got turnips in it, and I think those turnips are really going to attract deer later on in the year. This scrape is going to help with that. It's going to get them more comfortable, I think, coming in here. And I'll stick a camera up eventually, hopefully, if I can spare a camera off one of the other plots. I'll put a camera up here and watch and see if we get any action. You can see my blind over here. right down there along the edge of the woods. And hopefully that blind, from that blind, I'll be able to keep an eye on this as well. Maybe we'll see a big buck come in here and use this scrape, rub this real good, keep this worked up good. Does will work this too, for sure. But you'll basically get some activity here and get the deer to use this as part of their travel route, which should, in the end, increase the amount of travel onto this food plot later on. That's the plan, that's the hope. There's only one way to see if it works. That's to subscribe here on Death by Bunjie. Make sure you subscribe. Check us out on Facebook as well. And I'll see you next time right here on Death by Bunjie.